Jude Mercer had soft hands, quiet eyes, and no blood on his conscience, until they took the one person he couldn't live without. What came next wasn't a rescue, it was a reckoning. In a land where the sun beat down mercilessly, Jude Mercer spent his days in a world of straw and sweat. He was a stable boy, known for his quiet nature and thoughtful ways. With calloused hands, he mucked stalls, ensuring the animals were well cared for, while in the silence of the barn he found solace in the pages of books. Those stories offered him a glimpse into lives far removed from his own, a life filled with adventure and bravery. Jude's heart belonged to his younger sister, Lily, who looked up to him like he was a hero. He often told her tales of great explorers and daring knights, hoping to inspire her dreams of a brighter future. Their bond was unbreakable. He would do anything to protect her. They lived on the outskirts of a rough town where danger lurked in every corner, but Jude believed that by staying out of trouble, they could avoid conflict. Yet their fragile peace was shattered one fateful day during a fake revival staged by a roving gang. The air was thick with excitement until chaos erupted. Jude watched in horror as they seized Lily amidst the panic of the crowd. His heart raced. Fear gripped him as he realized that no one would come to their aid. In this harsh landscape where lawlessness thrived, Jude understood that violence was no longer an option but a necessity. With determination burning within him, Jude vowed to bring his sister back. He began to train himself in secret, poring over stolen books and practicing with borrowed guns. Each hour spent preparing transformed him from mere stable boy into something far more formidable. Underneath the quiet exterior lay a storm brewing, ready to unleash itself on those who dared harm his family. Jude was no longer just surviving, he was ready to fight back. The day of the revival dawned bright and hot, with townsfolk buzzing about the arrival of the traveling gang. Many believed this band of performers brought a glimmer of hope, promising miracles and blessings to the weary souls living on the edge of survival. Jude thought it might be a chance for Lily to escape their harsh reality, even if just for a moment. He watched as colorful signs were raised, proclaiming the revival's arrival, a joyous occasion disguised under layers of deceit. As crowds gathered, an air of excitement crackled through the dusty streets. Jude and Lily squeezed their way through, eager to catch a glimpse of the spectacle. The gang members swaggered onto the makeshift stage, clad in flashy clothes that sparkled under the sun. With loud voices, they preached about miracles and redemption, stealing the hearts of those who longed for a better life. But Jude felt something was off. There was a darkness hidden behind their false smiles. Suddenly, chaos erupted as one of the performers shouted, "A miracle is at hand." In an instant, the atmosphere shifted from joy to panic. Ropes swung down from above as gang members began to yank people away from the crowd, whisking them off into the shadows. Jude's heart stopped when he saw Lily grabbed by a rough-looking man disguised as a preacher. Her terrified eyes met his for just a moment before she was pulled away. Jude rushed forward but was shoved back by a throng of panicked townsfolk. Horrified cries filled the air, drowning out his yell for Lily. In that moment, he realized there would be no help from anyone around him. The gang's menacing laughter echoed through the chaos as they disappeared into the distance with his sister, leaving Jude standing alone amidst a sea of confusion and despair. A fire ignited within him. He knew he had to act. The thrill of adventure that had once lived only in his stories now beckoned him to rise up and reclaim what was taken. As the dust settled from the chaos of the revival, Jude stood frozen in place, his heart pounding with an overwhelming mix of fear and rage. The joyous atmosphere that had surrounded him moments ago now felt like a cruel joke. Around him, townsfolk regained their senses, but Jude's world had shifted dramatically. The vibrant colors of celebration contrasted sharply with his growing despair. He felt utterly helpless. Jude cast his eyes wildly over the crowd, searching for Lily's familiar face, but all he found were strangers caught in their own turmoil. He wanted to scream for help. He wanted someone, anyone, to take action alongside him. But deep down, he knew there was no law to come to their aid, no sheriff willing to chase after a gang of ruthless kidnappers in this lawless territory. The realization hit him like a cold wave. It was up to him alone to save her. Jude's mind raced with thoughts of where the gang might have taken her. They could be miles away by now, hidden among the outlaws and treachery that defined their land. A painful knot twisted in his stomach at the thought of Lily in danger. The powerful sense of inadequacy washed over him. He was just a stable boy accustomed to mucking stalls, not a hero destined for adventure. But as fear morphed into anger, Jude felt something awaken within him, a spark of courage that he never knew existed. He took a deep breath, allowing it to fill his lungs and steady his trembling hands. In that moment he made a vow to himself: he would not rest until Lily was safe again. Every muscle in his body ignited with determination as he started planning his next move. It was time to transform his desperation into action and find the strength he never thought he possessed. Determined to rescue Lily, Jude set about preparing himself for the fight ahead. He knew he couldn't rely on anyone else. He had to become strong and skilled enough to confront the gang alone. In the stillness of the barn, under the watchful eyes of the horses, he began his training. It was a world far removed from mucking stalls, but Jude embraced the challenge as if it were his only path forward. He started by gathering stolen books that spoke of weaponry and survival tactics. Each page was a treasure trove of knowledge, offering insights into how to wield a gun, track a moving target, and navigate through treacherous terrain. Jude spent countless nights reading by the flickering light of an oil lamp, absorbing every word as if his life depended on it, because in truth it did. With borrowed guns he found hidden in an old shed, he practiced his aim. At first, the weapons felt heavy and awkward in his hands, but he refused to give up. Each shot that echoed in the twilight air marked a small victory. Slowly but surely, he grew more confident with his aim, learning to steady his breathing and focus on the target. It wasn't just about hitting a mark. It was about finding strength within himself that he never knew existed. Jude also trained his body. He ran through the fields at dawn, building stamina and agility. He climbed trees to improve his grip and balance, imagining himself scaling walls to rescue Lily. With each passing day, he pushed himself harder, driven by love and desperation. The quiet boy who once mucked stalls was evolving into something fiercer and more determined. Jude understood that this journey would take everything he had, but every drop of sweat felt like preparation for the storm that was coming. He would not be caught unprepared when he finally faced the gang. He would be ready to unleash all his newfound strength for Lily's sake. With each passing day of training, Jude felt a fire growing inside him, driving him to begin the search for his sister. Armed with knowledge from stolen books and a fierce determination, he set out on his journey into the unknown. The vast wilderness stretched before him, filled with peril but also a sense of purpose. He knew where to start, the lawless lands he had only heard about in whispers and stories. His first destination was a dusty mining town known for its rough clientele. The place was alive with men and women desperate for gold and fortune, but there was an underbelly filled with crime. Jude entered the dimly lit saloon, scanning faces as murmurs of laughter and drunkenness floated through the air. He approached the bartender, asking about any strange new arrivals or news of the gang that abducted Lily. The bartender eyed him warily, but Jude's determination spoke volumes. He wasn't just another traveler. Next, he followed leads that took him to brothels lining a narrow alleyway, a shadowy part of town buzzing with illicit activity. This was far from the safe world he once knew. Here women whispered secrets to those willing to listen, sometimes leading to fortune or other times to danger. Jude had no hesitation. His presence felt out of place but necessary as he pressed on. He asked questions about the gang, learning about their movements and preferences, his mind absorbing every detail. Finally, his path led him to an outlaw stronghold tucked in the hills. The ominous hideout loomed like a dark fortress against the scarred landscape. As he neared it, adrenaline coursed through his veins. He knew this place could be where they held Lily captive. Each step closer was one filled with fear and resolve. Jude steeled himself for what lay ahead, recognizing that every location he traversed was shaping him into someone unstoppable, a storm gathering strength as he prepared for confrontation. His heart beat steadily for one reason: to reclaim Lily and ensure she would never face danger again, not while he still drew breath. As Jude ventured deeper into the lawless territories, each location he visited presented new dangers that tested his resolve and skills. In the mining town, he quickly learned that not everyone could be trusted. One evening, while gathering information from a group of miners at a nearby campfire, he overheard whispers about the gang's next move. But his presence drew attention, and soon he was surrounded by suspicious eyes. When a burly man accused him of eavesdropping, Jude felt the tension rise. Drawing on his training, he stood his ground and calmly explained his quest to find his sister. To his surprise, instead of hostility, they offered him advice on staying alive in this treacherous world. This encounter taught Jude the importance of both strength and diplomacy. Moving on, he arrived at the brothels where secrets flowed as freely as the drinks. Here, danger lurked in every shadow. As he navigated through dimly lit rooms filled with laughter and whispers, Jude overheard crucial information about the gang's hideout. However, a group of rowdy men began to take an interest in him, sensing vulnerability beneath his hardened exterior. Drawing on all the courage he had cultivated during training, Jude deftly maneuvered through the crowd and escaped before things turned violent. Finally, at the outlaw stronghold, the stakes were higher than ever. The stronghold was heavily guarded, but Jude had studied its layout from afar. He waited for nightfall to sneak in under cover of darkness. As he crept through the shadows, he felt adrenaline surge through him. This was it, the moment for which he had been preparing. Each encounter had sharpened his instincts and made him more resilient. Every challenge faced was a stepping stone toward becoming who he needed to be, a relentless force determined to reclaim Lily. As he approached the heart of enemy territory, Jude knew that confronting danger now felt almost familiar. It was no longer just about survival, but about facing fear head-on to save what mattered most. As Jude approached the heart of the outlaw stronghold, a palpable shift coursed through him. No longer was he just a stable boy. He had transformed into a man driven by a singular purpose. The fear that once clouded his mind had given way to a simmering fury, propelling him forward with each determined step. He could feel the weight of his training and experiences, each lesson learned fueling the fire within. The shadows wrapped around him as he moved stealthily, but there was no hesitation in his stride. He recalled the times he practiced with borrowed guns. The weight of them now felt reassuring rather than intimidating. The skills he honed in secret were no longer theoretical. They were part of him, guiding his actions as he navigated the dangers that lay ahead. He had learned to harness his emotions, turning past helplessness into a fierce resolve to protect those he loved. As he crept closer to the stronghold's center, he encountered guards patrolling the area. Instead of shying away, Jude's instincts kicked in. With a calculated approach, he took down one guard silently, his movements fluid and precise. The adrenaline surged through his veins, and for the first time he reveled in the power coursing through him. The transformation was not merely physical, it was a metamorphosis of spirit and mind. Each confrontation sharpened him further. He was no longer just reacting, he was anticipating movements, reading subtle cues from those around him. The anger that fueled his quest became an ally, awakening a warrior within that he never knew existed. He felt alive in a way he hadn't before, a force to be reckoned with. As Jude prepared to face the head of the gang, he realized that this journey had forged him into more than just a fighter. It had awakened a protector whose sole mission was to reclaim Lily and end the threat against her. With every ounce of courage and skill at his disposal, he steeled himself for what lay ahead, ready to unleash everything he had become in this relentless fight for family. As Jude infiltrated the heart of the outlaw stronghold, tension hung in the air like a coiled spring. The dimly lit corridors echoed with muffled voices and distant laughter, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside him. Every step he took was heavy with purpose. He could feel the weight of his sister's fate resting on his shoulders. The stakes had never been higher. Jude paused outside a large wooden door, his heart pounding in his chest. He peered through a crack, catching a glimpse of the gang gathered around a table, boasting about their latest exploits. There at the center was the gang leader, a man whose presence radiated menace. Jude's blood boiled at the sight of him, knowing that this man was responsible for tearing his life apart. The thought of Lily trapped somewhere within these walls fueled his resolve. With a deep breath, Jude steeled himself for what lay ahead. He had trained for this moment, prepared for every possible outcome. The fear that once gripped him had transformed into a fierce determination. He wouldn't walk away from this confrontation without fighting for Lily. In one swift motion, he kicked the door open. The gang turned in surprise, their laughter dying in an instant as they registered the intruder standing before them, a boy transformed into a force they never anticipated. "Where is she?" Jude demanded, his voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through him. The gang leader smirked, dismissing Jude's threat with a wave of his hand. "You think you can take us on, kid?" he sneered, but Jude could see uncertainty flicker in the man's eyes. Determined to show them just how wrong they were, Jude sprang into action, using everything he had learned to take down the first guard with precision and speed. The ensuing chaos erupted into violence as the gang members scrambled to respond. Gunfire rang out, and Jude felt a surge of adrenaline propel him forward, dodging bullets and retaliating with calculated strikes. In this moment of reckless bravery, Jude was no longer just fighting for himself. He was fighting for Lily, his sister who had become his driving force. As he engaged in battle against overwhelming odds, he realized that this was not just a showdown. It was his chance to reclaim everything he had lost and prove that love could conquer even the darkest of threats. The chaos erupted as Jude engaged the gang head-on, a storm of adrenaline and fury driving him forward. His heart raced, but his mind remained sharp. Every lesson learned during his training surged to the forefront of his thoughts. He remembered the hours spent perfecting his aim, the countless scenarios he had simulated in his mind, and now it was all coming to life in a terrifying whirlwind of violence. As Jude ducked behind a barrel, gunfire erupted around him. He could hear the sharp crack of bullets whizzing past, mingling with the shouts of gang members as they scrambled to regroup. This was no longer about stealth or calculated moves. It was a full-blown brawl, and every instinct he had developed urged him into action. With a fierce determination set deep within him, he sprang from cover. Jude's movements flowed seamlessly as he targeted the nearest gang member. Drawing on his training, he aimed quickly and fired with precision, striking his opponent squarely. The gang member dropped, and Jude felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with the gravity of what he was doing. This was more than just a fight. It was a battle for Lily's life and his own redemption. With each adversary he faced, Jude felt the power of his anger channeling through him like a raging fire. He seized weapons from fallen foes without hesitation, using them against others who dared close in on him. He threw punches with surprising strength and dodged attacks with agility fueled by desperation. The fear that had once held him back was now replaced by an unwavering desire to protect what mattered most. Amidst the chaos, Jude caught sight of Lily's silhouette through an opening, a beacon amidst the turmoil that reignited his drive. Liberating her wasn't just about rescuing her from captivity. It symbolized everything he had fought against, the helplessness he once felt, and the transformation he had undergone. In that moment of clarity, Jude unleashed everything he had become. Every ounce of grit forged through pain and determination drove him forward as he fought through wave after wave of resistance. He wouldn't stop until his sister was safe in his arms again. This was their moment, the storm unleashed, and there would be no backing down until victory was theirs. As the dust settled and the echoes of gunfire faded into silence, Jude took a moment to catch his breath. He stood amidst the remnants of the battle, surrounded by fallen foes and the evidence of his fierce struggle. The weight of what he had just experienced pressed heavily upon him. Victory felt bittersweet. He had achieved what he set out to do, rescue Lily, but at what cost? Jude glanced around, taking in the chaos that had unfolded. The once vibrant stronghold now lay in ruins, reflecting the turmoil within him. Memories flooded back, the quiet days spent mucking stalls, reading stories, and dreaming of a peaceful life with Lily. Those simple moments felt like a distant dream compared to the violence he had just unleashed. He realized that violence, once a choice he believed he could avoid, had become a necessary means to protect his family. As he stepped over debris and bodies, Jude felt a mixture of triumph and sorrow. This fight had changed him irrevocably. He was no longer just a stable boy, but a man who had faced darkness head-on. The adrenaline that fueled him began to wane, replaced by an unsettling calm that forced him to confront his actions. He had fought fiercely for love, yet part of him mourned for the innocence lost along the way. Finding Lily safe in a nearby room brought immense relief, but also stirred conflicting emotions within him. Her eyes widened in disbelief as she rushed into his arms. Her safety was all that mattered now. Yet, as they held each other tightly, Jude could not shake the feeling that they both bore scars from this ordeal, scars that would forever change their lives. In this moment of reunion, Jude reflected on the choices that led them here. He understood that while violence had been necessary to reclaim what was taken from him, it came with a heavy price, a loss of peace and innocence that would linger in their hearts. As they stepped out together into the uncertain world beyond the stronghold's walls, Jude vowed to protect Lily fiercely, but also seek a path towards healing and reconciliation with their pasts. Together, they would find a way forward. It was time to reclaim not only their freedom, but also their hope for a brighter future.